Gentlemen, I've got some good news and some bad news and some really bad news. The good news is that the cooking live stream is about to start and we're going to do fish. The bad news is that is because the fish. Oh, wait, gotta turn that off. The bad news is that's because the fish is starting to go bad. The really bad news is, as you can see, the stove cam is dead. So I'm gonna carry you with me. It'll be great. And we're cooking fish. What could possibly go wrong? So let me check on all of you and make sure everyone's good to go. And I will be right back. Here we go. So yes, for the literal carry. Here's the thing. Technical difficulties tonight, and I don't have time to sort them out because the fish is probably going worse as we speak. So let's roll up our sleeves and get started. So again, as you all know, we wash our hands before we do anything. Especially if we have written reminders on our hands earlier in the day in ballpoint pen. So here's the thing. I've already washed the fish before we started the stream because I wanted to be sure it was okay, but let me show you this real quick. If you take your fish and you smell it, and there's any hint that it might not be good, what you're going to want to do is rinse it very, very well in cold water, and be sure to kind of give it a good little rub and make sure that you wash off any kind of weirdness or slime or anything like that that might be on it. And then you let it dry and you sit for a moment. And if you smell it, you should be able to smell if it's okay or not. Now this actually smells pretty good. This particular piece is fine. This is a piece of tilapia. I had a piece of perch that went a little too far south, so we're not going to do that. But let me show you something here real quick as soon as I can find a knife that is suitable for the task. Because our cooking knife, while wonderful, is probably not the best thing for very fine, very detailed work. And I've got a fillet knife. The heck if I know where it is right now. Oh, here it is. Fillet knife. Now, there's no skin on this particular piece of fish, but what I will show you is if there are any questionable parts of the fish, and right now I'm looking at here and here, just because, I mean, they're kind of in there where, you know, things can kind of start. We're just going to trim that out real quick, just to make sure that because this fish has been in the refrigerator for 3 days, and you know what they say about fish and guests, after 3 days, we're going to cut that out so that we don't have any problems. Now let me go dispose of this, and I will be right back. Now, we are ready to dress this little bad boy up. Now, I like citrus on my fish, and lemon is good, and lime is good. Orange is also really good. But tonight we are going to dress this bad boy up with, wait for it, we're going to do grapefruit juice for the fish. But first, what we're going to do is we are going to crust the fish itself with a little salt, a little pepper, and what goes good with grapefruit juice? All manner of things, really. I wish I had some chervil, and I don't think. Let me see if I do real quick. Rummaging around here in the old spice cabinet, because if we have some chervil or some coriander or something like that, that would be a great addition to this little bad boy. You know what? We have got some Chardonnay smoked sea salt, but with the grapefruit juice, I don't know how that would be. Hang on, someone's in channel. Yes, it does sound yummy, doesn't it? So let's see how we want to dress this bad boy up tonight. I apologize, I'm a little more ill-prepared than most streams because A, the camera's dead, but the real reason is I wasn't going to stream tonight until I noticed that my fish was going bad and figured, heck, I'd better cook that up. I don't have any sherbet, unfortunately. So, we are going to use a mixture of sage, coriander, and let's go with, I don't necessarily want basil tonight. Let's do parsley. Let's do parsley. And then, of course, onion powder, because fish always needs onion powder. You know what? No, it doesn't. I think with the grapefruit, we're going to leave that off. So, salt. Get the salt going. Make sure you get enough on there to where it's going to flavor it, because some of this will come off in the butter in the pan. Do a little pepper. Do a little sage here. Just kind of dust it with that. And we're going to pat it on in a minute. The coriander. There we go. That's enough of that. And the parsley flakes will probably add to the pan, but I want to put a few on the fish to start. And just pat that on that side. Now, leave all of your herbs and spices out because fish has two sides, and you're going to want to do this to both of them, but you can hit the other side while it's in the pan. Speaking of which, why don't you come on over here with me and we'll get our pan ready. There we go. Now, we're going to turn this on. And we're going to throw a little butter in here. And I apologize for the camera kind of being all over the place tonight, but again, yeah. So, we're going to get the butter melting in the pan real quick, and I'm going to see if I can find something to prop the... you know what? Come with me a second. We're going to get a bowl, and we're going to do this grapefruit juice real quick while that butter starts up. I'll set the fish over by the pan, and you can imagine what it'll look like when I huck it in there in a second. But first, grapefruit. Same knife we used on the... You know what? Different knife, because if I don't use all the grapefruit juice, I might actually like to eat the other half. So, different knife for the grapefruit, so that we don't get fish juice in it. Cut it in half. By now we hear our butter melting, so come with me. And we are going to take our piece of fish, and because that's the seasoned side, we are going to lay it seasoned side down in the pan and let that roll for a minute. Now while we let that roll, we get us a strainer, a sieve, whatever you want to call it, and we just squeeze our grapefruit right into there. I guess I could hold it up so you can see. Oh yeah, nice. This way you don't get a lot of pulp or seeds in there. I don't particularly mind the pulp, but eating seeds is never fun. And you just wring all of the juice out of that. There we go. Set this over here. And, oh, gotta wash my hands. Juggling the camera around is always a lot of fun. Turn your fish over. There we go. And add your grapefruit juice. There we go. come on over here, and in a minute we'll do some not balsamic vinegar, malt vinegar in this thing. There we go. That's how it's looking so far. So while that simmers a second, let me go and check the chat, and I'll be right back. It's tilapia, by the way, and thank you for asking. Yeah, the flip was, I try to stay away from that when I'm showing other people how to do things, but when you're in a hurry, it's about the only way to go. Now, what I like to do for a little bit of zest on these things, and let me see if I've got some, is, there we go. Malt vinegar, and I don't have much left, but we're going to dress the fish up with this as soon as it comes out, but we want the grapefruit juice to kind of bake down first into more of a glaze than a juice, and I think I want a little more salt on that, so I'm going to run and get some salt. There we go. Just letting that simmer a little bit, and while we do that, I want to season the other side of it, because remember I mentioned that fish have two sides. Well, and of course you can't flip it like I did a minute ago with oh, watch, I'm making a huge mess. Now, here's the important part, little sage. Little parsley. Black pepper. Little coriander. And I've decided what I want on this. I know. Red peppercorns. Well, pink peppercorns. They have a wonderful flavor, and I don't have enough in here for this to be grinding a whole lot of them at once, so it takes forever. So you will have to forgive me, because I'm going to be standing here doing this a minute. Well, or 20. There, that's enough. So you might be noticing that the sauce is kind of turning from pink to orange. That'll tell you that it's really kind of working on being done. I'm going to turn the fish over one more time and let the crust bake onto the bottom, and let this glaze that we're making set up. And unfortunately, tonight is not a fancy schmancy night, and I am kind of making a mess of the fish, so it's not as pretty as it could be. But again, this is a very impromptu affair, and I haven't worked in a restaurant in a long time, so pretty is nice, but not necessary. There you go. You can see it starting to turn into a glaze on there. I am going to divert your attention a minute, because what I'm going to do is get those little pieces that I broke off of there, and that way when I take this thing out in a minute and plate it up, it'll almost look like I didn't screw it up. Give me a second. Alright, so now, see, one piece of unbroken fish. Never broken, didn't break it, didn't happen. Kind of scooted around to get all that wonderful wonderful glaze out of the pan and stick it on our plate right here. And then take just a little bit of your your malt vinegar, throw it in the pan, and it'll deglaze your pan for you real quick. Shake that around a bit, you'll get kind of a sauce. And then just pour that on top of your fish, and it will be a grapefruit malt vinegar glaze. And actually, why don't you guys sit and look at that a minute while I rinse this pan out real fast before it gets all nasty. Because I'll tell you one thing that a vinegar deglaze will do to a pan, especially with citrus in it, is it will turn into a glue that never wants to come out. And whereas that's not particularly entertaining to watch me clean a pan, I can certainly see where it might be entertaining to look at some delicious food and pick apart what I did wrong with it. So we have a reasonably clean pan now. Or at least a pan that we don't have a bunch of crud stuck to the inside of. And we also have dinner. So I'm going to come over here and see if there's any questions. Where's the rice, though? No time for rice tonight. I wasn't actually going to cook tonight. But as I said at the beginning of the stream, the fish was going bad. And I wanted to cook it and eat it before it did. Unfortunately, I'm not that hungry tonight, so I'm going to enjoy this, but no room for rice. Let's see what else we got here, guys. I agree. Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Savory Nugget says, so simple, yet so amazing. Same thing. Asian. What would pair with the fish well? Well, if you were going for a wine, typically a white wine pairs with fish, although I prefer red when I do drink wine, which is rare. I like a dry white wine. So I would say maybe something like let's go with a sweeter one, say a Chardonnay would be fine. Of course, for tonight, I am going to eat my fish with some refined and wonderful Tampico mango punch. You can't go wrong. It's $1.30 a gallon. And I'm sure it's probably healthy-ish or not, but you know, we're gonna drink it anyway, because it's here. Well, thank you, Savory Nugget, who says they've honestly learned a lot from this stream. I've learned a lot from this stream, too. I have learned to always check your stove cam before starting the stream. And I am actually probably going to run off on you guys before too long here and go eat, but I did want to thank you for stopping by and watching me cook. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and I need to throw the host over to somebody after this. Who have we got? Jelly Bee is streaming, so... Oh, you're entirely welcome, Miss Duffy, and thank you for coming by and watching me cook, and that goes for you too, Savory, and everybody else who may be here lurking. So I'm going to throw the host over to Ellie B, I think, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for stopping.